it would save a lot of time for us in the training room, in the fact that they're able to have this machine tape their wrist would be real beneficial. Most of the time our athletes tape their own wrist. They do a pretty crappy job about it when it comes to it. But with this thing, the tensile strength, everything's going to be the same. And we can adjust the speed on this unit to, which will adjust the tightness. The faster the machine goes, the tighter the tape is at the wrist. A couple of good ideas here in the fact that there's a ball here. When we tape a wrist, we want their fingers spread apart. We don't want everything close together or tight. It tends to tighten this area up here. The other thing is the tightness. When we tape our wrist around like this, we've got this little gap here, and by having the tape go on the outside, it's tighter on the outside and loose on the inside. When you pull it off, there's a little laxity here so we don't get it too tight. So I think this is a great idea. God, you guys had a great, I've said it about 10 times, I just can't believe you guys did this thing. This has really worked out well. And of all the things in the world, I never would have dreamed this. This is a really neat deal. So I think you guys did a super job.
When we were running our tests, that's actually what our limiting factor is. So the viscosity of the tape is basically what's limiting how tight that tape is. So, you know, we're assuming that typically manufacturers are going to keep about the same. You know, it's not going to vary greatly. So that's where, again, we come to our further testing where we can actually quantify, hey, this type of tape will give you this range of tension. The nice thing is tape manufacturers already thought of that, so our tape is actually latex free. Most tapes that they put out in this flex tape form are latex free, so that's already taken care of.
Nice.
Right now, when you put out exercise equipment, you don't really need to be licensed. It's kind of a user risk. So as far as we know, there's no extra licensing you need to put this out. Like we thought maybe you need FDA approval or something, just because it's you have a relationship where it's user oriented and there's some health aspect to it. But as far as we know, we can find anything that would relate to that. Our safety factors we're taking into account in our limiting goals. We have a foot pedal. So once that person lets go of that pedal, it stops. The swing arm immediately stops. That's our one way of keeping it from getting out of control. Another thing is the way we designed it is the maximum possible tension in our tape will be nowhere near that of the cutoff pressure for the blood in your wrist. So kind of by design, it'll keep the individual far from the limit. I mean, 202 millimeters of mercury of pressure around your wrist will cut off circulation, and our maximum that our machine can reach is 100, or what is it? Was it 65 millimeters of mercury?
Did y'all confirm that with the string scale?
Well, what we did is we did the blood pressure cuff, and as we put it on our wrist, ran it through the machine and wrapped it. We preloaded it with 100 millimeters of mercury pressure, and then as we wrapped it, you could see the increase in pressure that it's being applied to the wrist.
It's connected to the motor control, so it's not varying the speed or anything. It just works like toggle switch, where you just hit on the pedal and the motor it receives power and the motor just rotate. But we also have an adjustment knob in there so you can adjust the speed. It's different from you don't do any adjustment in the foot pedal. It works like a toggle switch.
So I'm just thinking, if there was a fault in the variable speed drive and you took your foot off the foot pedal,
It turns off.
Yes, yeah, it turns off.
Stops on that. Yes.
Our target is the gyms and the high schools and those locations. So they are actually having a great, huge budget, so they were willing to pay for it. By the interview that we had with Mr. David Binder, the head athletic coach, he was one example that he said he would definitely pay for such a machine to facilitate and put in the gyms of the UNM.
With the high schools and so forth?
High schools and so forth.
Cutting back on their budgets, or they said they would want this?
Well, we didn't have time to go to the high schools, but we interviewed the gyms, for example, the gym managers, and over here at UNM again. So they said that they were willing to pay for it. But I guess for high schools, we can give a discount price or something like that that would make up for the whole thing. So that's our.
Okay.
That's one
I'm
factor.
curious if
The first night alone, once we got this thing working, we had about a case of tape, and we just couldn't stop. We were just playing with this the whole night, just because it was fun to actually use it. Cumulatively, we've gone through close to what, about $100 worth of just tape. I mean, we've just gone wrist after
and that
wrist.
was in your budget?
And that was in our budget. But we went through. We actually cleared out Walmart. Walmart actually had this flex tape, and we couldn't find it anymore. So we actually. The athletic department was kind enough to give us a box of tape.
Okay, so, thank you very much. That's